Hello, everyone, and welcome back after a rather long hiatus. And I'm pleased to be back here for the Astral Journey show with Diane G., also known as Kumo Observer, and Diana Bowles, also known as Oil Painter, and White Dragon, also known as Paul. We are happy to have you back with us today, and we have to kind of gear ourselves up into something. So it was suggested that we work on some of the ancient civilizations. And so we're going to be presenting today. I'll be working in the background, but these fine people will be presenting on Lemuria, which is also called Mu, M-U. So without further ado, I will let Paul, White Dragon, open us up to what you need. And just tell me when you need either the sacred symbols, Paul, or the map. Just let me know.
I just want to give a quick rundown of what's going galactically. It's over the holiday was very quiet, extremely quiet. I was going crazy. But a couple of things happened. You know, I got approval from Michael to expand the Minutemen teams to a lot. And I still don't know why. And the other thing that happened is I became aware that, you know, the Drax left the galaxy, most of them did. And there's still some like hanging around. The ones that missed the boat or the ones that didn't want to go. And they're being haunted right now, all over the galaxy, all over the galaxy. And we're finding them. They're hiding, but we're finding them. So that's really basically what's going on right there in that area. This year started really strange. I think we flipped timelines. I don't know about what you ladies think about that. Something major happened. What I'm getting is like what worked last year is not going to work this year, and I don't know how that's going to how that applies to what we're doing. But and then the other thing was, let's start in the beginning. Is what I think we should do. And I said, well, let's just start with the Mu. The Mu is, let's put the first picture with the map up. Okay, this is from a book that was written in the 1800s. And they claim it's a fictional landmass that's between Hawaii, Easter Island, and the eastern, part of, I don't know where they were, but you can tell roughly where that is. It's just north of some of the those islands that you may be closer to that, Diane. So that's where it's supposed to be. I don't know. I really don't. No. Anyways, there's a guy by the name of Augustus Le Plongeon, 1825 to 1908, and he was a traveler and a writer, and he wrote about Mu, and he translated a lot of the stuff from Mayan texts that he found. And he wrote one book. There was another guy called James Churchward, 1851, 1936. And he said it was in the Pacific. And those two books, you can buy them off Amazon and, all your main bookstores. But I found free copies on the internet if you want to look at them rather than spend your money. You can go Google the Sacred Symbols of Mu, FMU PDF, and then you go to something called the Internet Archive, and then you get the PDF. You can download it or you can read it online, whatever. And then the other one is the the Lost Continent of Mu from Churchward PDF, and then you can get it the same way. How do I know about this? Well, a long time ago, back when I was young and stupid, I'm just old and stupid now. I started with the Theosophical Society. The Theosophical Society was a mystical kind of organization that Helena Blavatsky put together with another guy, which I can't remember his name anyways. So that's how I got started. And then she wrote this thing called The Secret Doctrine. It's very heavy. I mean, each book is around 700 pages, and there's two of them. You can get it the same way by doing a Google of The Secret Doctrine PDF, and then you can go directly to the Philosophical Society, and you can get you can pull book one, volume two, and you can read them at your own leisure. You don't have to spend money if you don't want to. She talked about the stages of human evolution and the 7 great root races and sub-root races. And the root races is nothing more than ancient civilizations that came in groups. And each one of those main groups had like subgroups and subgroups. It's like kind of like a spider web. So the first one is they were etherical, non-physical. The second one was etherical beginning physicality. They're coming down from the top. The third one was Lemuria, and then Atlantis is number 4. I think Mu and Lemuria are kind of like tied together. And as far as I know, your lady said it's the same. And I have no doubt that it's the same thing, but I think it's time that separates those two areas. But we can find out. Then we have the 5th one, which is humanity. The 6th is the future spiritual hierarchy that we're entering. And then the last one is the final race to end cycles on Earth. So, but I don't think this is going to happen very fast, because according to Mu was 100,000 years ago to about 100 to about 16,000, and that covers Mu and Atlantis.
Yeah, it's
according
sunk.
to some of these books.
It's sunk in 10,000 BC.
Right. So this is like what's happened. Now, I was reading all this stuff, and this is very, very complex information. But then something popped into my head that this is tied to the Lyran migration and the Lyran wars and the Pleiadians. We can ask that question too and find out what the records say on that. I'm very interested, because I'm more interested in what the records say than what these books say. So that's pretty much what I want to cover. And one of the things now you can put up the second picture with the symbols, Aley. This is from the second book by James Churchward, and he got all these symbols that he got from tablets or whatever it is. And I looked at these and I go, I know the first row, 1, 2, 3, the number 4 and 5 symbols. I have those on a wand when I started making wands a long time ago. After reading the Harry Potter books, I go, oh, that must be cool to have wands, and you can do all kinds of stuff with energy. Blah blah blah. And then I started making these crystal wands, and I made this special wand. You can tell how big it is, and it's got like a handle, and the blade fits into the other handle, and it's held together by a copper pin.
Is that selenite?
Selenite, and then the edge is flattened copper all the way around, like this. One side has a Herkimer diamond, and the other one has moldavite. The one with the moldavite has this. I drew these symbols. I didn't even know what they were. I drew the first, the plus with the circle on the moldavite side, and the other side with the Herkimer is just a plain circle. But this plain circle has I just looked at it, has a dash going through it. Instead of being plain, it has a dash. It doesn't have the one going up and down.
Okay, so it's just horizontal?
Yeah, just horizontal.
Okay.
Not the circle, not the. I thought it was the plane, but then I looked at it and I think this is tied together. I don't know. I mean, we can find out.
Well, the circle with the cross in it represents cross borders. It represents the medicine wheel, north, south, east, and west. And what you have with the plain circle, these are hieroglyphs, Navajo hieroglyphs.
Yes.
And so with the plain circle with this is talking about the Earth's plane, the whole of the Earth's plane.
That's interesting.
That's the horizon. When you have this, it's as above, so below, or this is the heavens, these are the grounds below, and the horizon line is what creates that. So the whole circle is the whole of the earth. This is the equator.
I don't use that one very, very often. I mean, I have used it before, but I've only used it to cut the cord, the negative cords for somebody who's in the family who's exiting. So that's the only time I used it. I don't. It's a special kind of thing as far as I'm concerned, and I don't know what exactly it means. So,
But it's not Lemurian. I mean, the symbols aren't Lemurian. I
have
guess
seen them
it's much
everywhere.
later.
I have seen them in ancient, like the Hopi things and
Yes.
things.
Yes. Well, some of these are universal because, you know, nobody could write. No, we did. There wasn't a written language as we refer to a written language. So pictures, pictograph, that's how communication occurred between people with strange languages. So many of these symbols are easy to fit. You just look at them and you can figure out, you know what the snake is. You can tell what the sun is, the circle with the circle within, and all of the directions. That is the 8. I would look at that and think of Tob, which is the 8 directions, which is bear, who can put a paw and just hop around and put a paw at each of the directions at one time. So some of these, like the curly thing that looks like Aquarius, that of course is water. We have the sun rising and the sun setting. We have the sun at noon. We have the cross quarters. We have the moon. We have the full moon, and then the dark moon. And then with the 3 feathers I would look at that and think that that's the half moon.
They're very. I mean, I came across those symbols a long time ago in one of these other books that was written in the 1800s. I got to find out what the name of it. I mean, I don't own books anymore because I had like 500-600 books, and I moved a lot, and I couldn't move them all. There's too many of them. So,
Yeah.
so right now those books live on Kindle, most of them. So. Or I can get them on the internet. I know how to get them.
You know what? Let me say one more thing about the dark moon with the 3 feathers. Appears to be 3 feathers. When we look in the next row, and we see this, that's not the Ouroboros. That's the wind. That's the wind. So what do the 3 feathers represent?
I have a clue. I mean, that's
And the one next to it, I would look at that and think of it as a comet.
that's possible. So, anyways, I mean, this is. I know that we started a new cycle. I mean, we ended a new cycle, and now we started a new one this year. So I think that's why all this old stuff is coming up, and.
Oh, we have. I mean, we are definitely in the age of Aquarius. The song has been fulfilled. Both the new moon, the full moon on the 3rd of January, and this new moon that we just got out of is those occurred in the 7th house, just like the song says. And the planets that were in alignment is Jupiter on one end and Mars on the other. Jupiter, Venus, the Sun, Mercury, Earth, and Mars was out here. And when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, they were opposite each other with a whole string of these planets in between. This was no joke. I have gone looking for that for years, and it showed up all on its own. for this new moon, for the full moon first, for the full moon, because the by the time we got to the new moon, Jupiter and Mars were still in alignment, but a little out of whack. On the time of the full moon, it was, they were all in a straight line except for Mercury, who moved so fast, you know, he just got into place. So we have had this time shift. You did feel it, huh? For sure.
Yeah, it happened. It's brand new. We're in a blank page right now, and it's what we make it. It's really that's how I feel. But we can't move forward until we know what the back is, the background is. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we can look at the Akashic record to see what they say, that you guys can say about Mu and Lemuria, and see what that picks up. I can tell you what I have read and everything about it, and that is like, yeah, it's all together, and it's like a sequence. It's like a bead, one bead, and so the bead is something else, and then the bead is something else. It feels like a bead to me of civilizations. So, you want to open the records, Diana, or?
Sure, I can do that.
And Diane as well, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Diane's already connected. I know. I can see her face.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I can do the same, but I mean, the guy Jason, I talked to him yesterday. I said, "Are you there, Jason?" "Yeah, I'm here." Are you still helping us with the records? And he goes, "Yes." "Okay, fine, good. We're gonna need you tomorrow." So,
Okay, let's begin by taking 3 deep breaths. Exhale through parted lips. We are surrounded by divine white light and the divine grace of the source. We ask Archangel Michael to protect and guide us as we create a sacred space and call forth all of our angels, guides, beings of light, and Akashic record masters. Assist us now as we bathe in grace of the highest truth, the highest frequency, and the highest vibration of light and love. Allow us to receive what is needed for the greatest good and the greatest healing for the greatest of all humanity. This is the opening. Blue Star Sun, we ask for guiding light from you to aid our ability to see, read, and heal what the records hold for all of us here today. The records are now open.
okay. So let's just ask the first question. You know, is Mu real? And take it away, Diane and Diana.
So just to clarify, Mu and Lemuria are one and the same. This is something that we've read before many times, and it always comes up that Mu and Lemuria are one and the same. And whenever we read on Lemuria, the map that you showed a while ago, it coincides with Mu and Lemuria and Mu there in that area in the Pacific. So I just want to do a quick recap for the people who are just coming in. So the Lemuria is one of the, if you look at yin and yang, there's the yin and the yang part. There is the divine masculine and the divine feminine side of the yin and yang, which provides balance. So in ancient Earth, in our ancient civilizations, we had yin, which was Lemuria, the divine feminine, and the yang, which is the divine masculine. So usually when we do Akashic records readings on people, their very first incarnations are either in Atlantis or in Lemuria, although there are people who have had lifetimes in both. So yeah, just a clarification. Mu and Lemuria are one and the same, but Mu came from the word Lemuria. It kind of just got shortened as time progressed. So yeah, that's what Mu is, or Lemuria is. It's the sacred or the divine feminine aspect of Earth. And many people who are more inclined with the divine feminine, so those are more spiritually inclined people and starseeds incarnated on Lemuria. So if this topic resonates with you, chances are you've had lifetimes in Lemuria.
Diana?
You must not lose sight of the fact that at one time the earth was a weeble wobble, weeble wobble, weeble wobble. All the water was on one side, all the land was on the other. And as the continents began to shift, which we have later gone to call the continental shift, and the plates that are underneath everything that crack and separate and push land apart. We go back to the times of Lyra, and it's breaking apart, and it's sending seeds and prisms and other life forms here to this earth to begin. Lemuria is one big land that was part of the big continent where all the land was on one side. As it became more and more separated from the land itself, it was a bridge across. It was connected at one point, became the bridge, became the smaller continent, and eventually caved in on itself. But it began with the seeds of other life forms from Lyra, the Pleiades, Orion's belt, and all of those that we know. As it separated, what was discovered by Charles Darwin is the lemur. He's in these places that are so totally not connected, and therefore Lemuria became Charles Darwin's baby because of the lemurs, and that landmass was the connection that held it all together. As it separated, bits and pieces were left behind for Atlantis. The mountains, the islands of Hawaii were once mountaintops. The hollow ground underneath Mount Shasta was once covered in brown velvet, soft mosses. So do not lose sight of the fact that things shrink, and as they shrink, the survivors spread out and go in other places and bring with them language and customs and share information. And it doesn't matter what science wants to disregard now. It makes even more sense when we look at this continental drift as being able to separate more continental lands. End of transmission.
Okay. So that's very interesting. I do feel that it's the same, but I also feel that the people that were on there were like the first that were like the first that took the steps for spirituality for this planet, and it spread from there. So this next question is for Diane, to try to see what's in there in the records for how does it relate to the Lyran migration and the Pleiadians, and because it feels to me like some of those Pleiadians that were migrating before they, one group went to the Pleiades, another one came here to Earth. That's how it feels to me. So I don't know if that's exactly what happened. So how does that relate to our planet and that migration based on the draconian situation?
Lemuria was guided by many star races, but what pops in from time to time in the Akashic records are first the Pleiadians, mostly from the divine feminine star systems, which are Maya, or the Maya star system and Pleiades, it comes often and a lot during readings, as well as the Arcturians. The Arcturians actually visited Lemuria during that time and also taught people about energy and how to manipulate energy. So, just to tie in your question with Nathan Sipley's question, so how does it relate with the Myran migration, and how does it relate to today? I think those are very much related because there are cycles that keep happening, such as the Lyran Wars. During the Lyran Wars, they were attacked, and there were issues about control and power. And that happened during the Lyra Draconian Wars. That also happened in Lemuria, which is, I believe, why the Lemuria topic is coming up a lot in today's time. Because we are having a lot of problems with government and the issue of power and corruption, and it keeps on happening in many civilizations. That's how it relates to us now. That's why it keeps on coming up.
That's cool. That's really cool. You have any comments, Aley? No? Okay. The Lyran migration is very interesting because that, based on what Diane did with me, with my path throughout the cosmos. I got my start in the Lyran area and in the Lyran wars, and how they the Drax came, and I was some kind of farmer, and they ran some big huge tank over my legs, and that's what triggered me and say, hey, I'm going to get you. And I've been doing that. This kind of works ever since, until they got kicked out of the galaxy. Right now they're out. And earlier in this lifetime, about 1980s, mid 80s, I had an accident in my house where I broke my left leg, and bone came out and everything. It was nasty. And and it just dawned on me that this is related to that thing a long time ago that came up to be dealt with. So I have somebody's piece of bone in my leg somewhere. I mean, they grafted somebody's piece of bone. This bone fell out. And I took the pieces, and we found in the garage, and I turned them into Christmas ornaments. My wife threw them away because she thought that was crazy. So this is how it relates to me, because you have to make whatever the information that we're giving out or what's in the record from the masters, how does it relate to you, and how does it help you deal with this new cycle that we're starting up?
Mm-hmm.
And then, in the 1800s, we had a lot of activity. I mean, it started with the Theosophical Society, and basically the persons behind that were the Saint Germain, basically, and other masters, El Moria and those kinds of people. And they have an organization called the Brotherhood, or the Great White Brotherhood, which formed the basis for the I Am movement through Guy and Edna Ballard back in the early 40s here in the United States. So that's how this I Am movement started. But then, the information that was given them wasn't complete because people were not able to take the full information. So I think what's happening now, it's the rest of the information is coming out. I was involved with the I Am people, not with the Edna branch, but another one. But I was there. I took what I could out of it. I think personally that the only reason I was there is so I can get connected with Michael, and I did. And I left, and Michael and me are like buddies. I mean, we talk all the time whenever I need to, and I ask him questions, he answers, and he tells me. And before I take any major decision, I ask him, hey, I'm planning to do this. What do you think? And he tells me. And we have meetings on my ship, and every time every time I feel kind of like down and whatever, I go up to the ship and I hang around with the girls. The girls is the Athena and my ship, Diana, and they always present to me like ladies, you know.
Mhm.
The Athena presents like Xena, the warrior princess. You remember that TV show from a long time ago? That's how she looks like to me. And then
Yeah, a warrior.
Xena, the warrior, she looks like that. She's
Mhm.
very, you know,
So
intense, but she's also very loving. I mean, you don't want to mess with her. That's all I can say. And then the Diana presents like a Greek goddess, beautiful hair rolled up in a bun with white toga and gold things hanging on her. She's just like, she's very classy, extremely classy lady. And she's so, both these ladies are Arcturians. So the Arcturians have been around the earth trying to help us in with the situation with the Pleiadians. You know, as far as I understand, the Arcturians ascended their planet a long time ago, and then they helped the Pleiadians ascend, and then from there now they're trying to help here the Earth. This is how I
yes,
understand it.
there are several star races who helped Lemuria. So yeah, some of them are the Syrians, some of them are Mintankans, Arcturians, Pleiadians. So Leah Omega 8 has a question. Are any of us connected, I guess, to these wars? And to answer that, yes. Many of us in this community are connected to the Lyra Draconian Wars, even the Orion Wars, and even Lemuria. So Diana and I, we do Akashic Records readings every other Saturday, and we
Friday, tomorrow.
frequently read about who are connected with these wars. So it's like, yeah. A short
Yeah,
answer is yes.
I
So
mean the
we
war
see
has.
patterns in the cycles that keep on happening, and it is a challenge. John Timoteo has a comment a while ago that I saw, and he said, it sounds like a deep seated conflict that was never resolved. And it also feels that way to me because it keeps happening. It's a way for us to learn lessons and really grow as souls. So, yeah, many of us in this community are connected with this wars, Leah.
Yeah, I can say that, you know, a long time ago, and this came out with some of the readings that Diana did with me when I asked her some questions, you know, but back about Maldek, which is the planet that blew up and is between Mars and Venus, I think, the asteroid belt. That used to be a planet,
Hmm.
and it was I was at the time I was running a spaceship trying to get people off the planet before it got blown up and stuff. We took some of those people off into a space station. From the space station became too rowdy because some of them were not very nice, and some of those uh, characters we know right now as some of the ones that are making trouble right now.
Hmm.
Uh, so you know they got kicked off that station into Mars, and from Mars, you know, Mars had a war and the atmosphere was almost destroyed and so forth. And from there, they flipped over to the Earth and then landed around what Atlantis was at the time, and they
Hmm.
basically became the main reason why the whole thing was allowed to sink back into the ocean. So this is how I understand it, and it's a lot is based on some of the Akashic readings. I don't know if Diana, you remember that? Yeah,
I'm sorry, I am definitely drifting out there, remembering life on Lemuria as it was in the other, in all of the different time frames that we have traveled through. It, what is the reason for evil terrestriality? I can't say it today. Sorry. It is the yin and yang, the feminine, the masculine. You can't have the light without the dark. You don't see it if you don't have the other to compare it to measure it with, to find the balance between. It is always there's always a lesson. It's a power struggle for some, and they want that whole power, but the power belongs to no one. The power belongs to each of us. not just one person. And the if we go back to Lyra, because as the prism explodes, it's because one was getting a thought, and that thought is, well, somebody has to have power, and it made them implode. They just went kaboom. Are you nuts? That shouldn't be happening. And we find ourselves repeating. History repeats. And the whole world is in this repeat again. And a Pluto return to add to it.
Yeah, I understand that the reason some of those experiments failed is because there wasn't enough people holding the balance at the time, and it happened way back then, and it went underwater. Then it happened in Atlantis, and it went underwater. But this time is different. Some of the same players that were back then who were responsible for that are here right now.
It's important. I just want to say, anybody putting up a question that's personal, like who was I or was I there? We're not doing that today. These are questions about the civilization of Lemuria, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
And anybody doing that, join Diane and I tomorrow. We'll be on at 5 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, you can ask personal questions, which is excellent.
Let me read this list, because I could never memorize it, but we have to realize that Lemuria and Atlantis are just the most famous. They are not the only things that have disappeared. So there is Argatha, which is hollow earth. And then there's Avalon that comes and goes out of the mists. And there's Beyond, which is Slavic, but it's like Lorna Doone. It appears and it disappears. It's like Avalon. It has that same tail from Avalon to the Slavic nations, to Ireland, to Scotland. And then there the Isle of Brasil, and that is an Irish tale. And then I can't say it because it's Welsh, but it's Cantera Gwald, and Dura, which is the Lord Krishna's disappearing land, and the Iram of the Pillars, that is mentioned in the Qatar, and then Atlantis of the Sands. Well, that's Arabic. That's Arab. And then we have Jomsburg and Vignette, which is in the Baltic Sea, which is, I think, what you were just making mention to. And then we have Kumari Kandam. Now that also refers to Mu and Lemuria, but that's the part that sunk into the Indian Ocean. So that landmass that was connected in the Indian Ocean and into Australia and held all of that together was at one time part of what was Lemuria, Lemu, and Mu. So there's so many of them. The rocklands in Wales, which is named for Prince Helig, and that's another Welsh word that's so very hard to pronounce, and Leonese of which is where Tristan came from Arthurian tales. That's another Wales place. I'm sorry. Well, Cornwall. My mistake. Sorry. And then think about Shambhala and Shangri-La. They're connected. That's Tibet. And there's so many. The 7 cities of gold. Another 2 that I can't pronounce: Carbona and Cunara and El Dorado. There's 3 of the 7 cities of gold that were found by the conquistadors, and they've disappeared. Where'd they go? And then east, which is of Brittany and New Zealand, but Zealandia is what it was called when all of that was connected. So just as the ocean can change in the middle of the water, when you're looking at it, you don't know where you're at. You think it's one just big body of water, but here's the Caribbean Sea, and here's the Atlantic, and here's the Pacific, and over there is the Indian Ocean, and over there is the Baltic Sea. So, you know, I mean, you can be on all these different lands and know, because borders didn't exist the same way as we think of them today. And there was a time when there weren't heavy power struggles because the world was shaking.
Yeah, and in each one of those instances, I think the ET influence is becoming more clear to me. I mean, at least to me, because of the migration situation and the Pleiadians and all the other races that are coming down here to help us out. Like I said, it's this time it was different because they brought in more people. This is how I understand that the call went out. Listen, we got to help Earth ascend. We got to help Gaia and blah blah blah. And they took a lot of volunteers, and they allowed those volunteers to come in first, have first choice from the line of people who are coming in. So they got to butt the line, going the front, skip everybody else because of that particular word. And because of that, it hasn't blown up like before. And we're headed towards a very good place. I mean, it doesn't look to us right now like it is. The situation politically in a lot of places, wars everywhere, you name it, is conflict. That's all going to go away eventually. Even the monetary system is going to go away. And this is the progression that I'm trying to get people to understand. What happens when things follow a specific plan, and it's all planned out. I don't know exactly where the plan is. I'm just a player in it. So what do you think, Diane?
You're talking about the cycles?
Yeah, the
Or
cycle
in
and how it
each
relates
plan?
to us here.
Well, when we're talking about like chaos, but we haven't really talked about what happened to Lemuria, how it ended. I just realized that. So for the people who are wondering, there were political instabilities towards the end of Lemuria and power struggles. There were some crystal technology that were used in Lemuria, and there were some people who wanted to take that, and also there were changes in the weather and the climate during that time. And when we check the records, at least for me, I saw that people were being dispersed during that time. So I was seeing some comments from our chatters, who were saying, okay, I was from Lemuria, but then I moved to South America, which actually happened during that time. The people from Lemuria, when all of these chaos were happening, they dispersed, or some of them dispersed and weren't included in the fall of the landmass. But there are some landmasses that are still around now. You mentioned, Paul, about me being close to Lemuria. That's because Philippines, I believe, used to be a part of Lemuria. It drifted off from the main continent. So yeah, in that sense,
Yeah,
I'm still in Lemuria. But
and you're being Palladian. I mean, I can see exactly what you got there. I mean, you got
yeah,
some work to do, girl. You got some work to do, girl, and you're doing it. I mean, even though if you don't think so, you're doing it.
yeah, I'm back. I was here before and I'm here again now. So let me just
Yeah,
read a
the whole thing
question.
in my view, because I see it from a different point of view because I'm exposed to a lot of stuff that if I can tell you what it is, and I can't really, it's you go no, he flew over the cuckoo's nest, all right. So
Well,
it,
let me address this question, because this
yeah,
is a very good question. All right. Okay, Babylon was the crack nut, right? They were crazy people. They were hedonistic, as you say. But what was going on with the world prior to that, with Lemuria and then Atlantis rising to power and falling apart, and all these other little lands, you know, you're comfortable, and it's okay when it's free for everybody, when there's a lot. But now you are in a cataclysmic state, and it is shaking, and now we have to have power grabs, because I have to have something left. I got to keep what I got, and I got to have something to live on. And so that is how that whole power play was enacted and going on as these continued birthing of the earth, to get to the point where it wasn't such a weeble wobble on the axis. You know, we think of life, we think that they're all going to look like we look today. No, they didn't. You know, they had more traits that were closer to their starseed beginnings. Like, we have tall whites, and we still are carrying those traits with us. Or Hadarian, you look at my face, I know when I look in the mirror, I can see the Hadarian. But you know, they're less noticeable because we're comfortable with having all these different races around. So Babylon was already in the process of conversion, and Moses left and went up the mountain to get the tablets, and they all went to hell in a handbasket. Let's party. He's gone. Nobody's babysitting us. It wasn't so much about the money grab as it was just doing what I felt like doing when I felt like doing it. And so when he came down and saw what was going on, he threw the tablets at them and broke the first set of tablets. Went back and got a second set. So yes, but it's not quite the same, because Babylon wasn't about power. It was more about, you can't tell me what to do, meh. You know?
I mean, there's a lot back in the earlier in the 1800s and the earlier part of this and of 1900s. There was some very good information that was out there, except a lot of people don't understand where it came from. I mean, there's a lot of unveiled mysteries. By the first book about the original I Am people. I'm talking about not the offshoots. Saint Germain gave Ballard all this information about all these different civilizations. And you can get unveiled mysteries online too, the same way, by doing a Google on it, and you can get a PDF, or you can buy the books. I have the book myself, and how I got it. I mean, there was a I Am temple right downtown Miami, and I went there and I wanted to get in. They wouldn't let me in. That was a long time ago. Oh no, you're not a member. Blah 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 whatever. And so I knew a lady. I says, go in there and buy me these books, and she bought a bunch of books and gave them to me. I mean, that's how I got a hold of them. But you can get them online now. I mean, you don't have to do that kind of stuff. And back then, there was no internet, so there's a lot of
Books
information
are,
around.
yeah, they are much more accessible now. So
Yes.
we have a good question from Old Windwalker, who is
Mhm.
asking, did the people of Lemuria and Atlantis interact? From what I remember, they were here around the same time, or that's what I understood anyway. I could be wrong. I believe this is correct, that they were around at the same time, although Lemuria started earlier. But I don't
Right.
believe that they interacted. They were aware that the other one exists, but they didn't interact. From my understanding, they were on different sides of the world, so they didn't have a chance to interact. How about you, Diana? What have you seen in the records
Along
about
that
this?
same train of thought, absolutely. And Atlantis was left behind as Lemuria crumbled, as Lemuria sunk, as it disappeared. So I think it's Plato that said that Lemuria did not sink until 45 AD or 46 AD, somewhere in there. But when Lemuria was crumbling, they became more aware of Atlantis, because they were escaping to there if they could make it there. However, they could. What mainland are we going to? Where are we going to go next? If an earthquake comes and it gives this big chasm in the land, and your son's on that side and you're on that side, and there's no way you can get to each other, you just start a life where you are.
Yep.
And so those from Lemuria that were left behind, some drowned, and they're considered to be the porpoises, right? And the dolphins and the whales, the intelligence, the intellect of the mammals in the water. So then when Atlantis went, there were people that survived that cataclysm. No, it was Pompeii that was buried in 45 AD. I apologize. And there's another one. There's another city that disappeared, right? Under
It's
witness.
important to also know that Plato wrote about this, and the Greeks wrote about these in their writings.
Yes.
Not Lemuria, but definitely Atlantis.
Atlantis,
Definitely, definitely. So, yeah, Atlantis fell long before Pompeii. Sorry, please forgive me. But when Vesuvius went off and buried everybody, there was so much ash on there that it was just recent that all those bodies were found, late century of the 20th century.
Mhm.
So, you got to believe that those places were there because it happens all the time. They've been predicting California falling off for all of my lifetime. And we can't be surprised when it happens because we have that continental drift. We have those plates underneath and the tectonic plates and the cracks and the fissures and this and that. And then let's do some fracking just to make it a little bit better, a little less stable.
One of the things I tell people, like, how can you, who ask me, like, how can you say that Lemuria existed and that it drifted away? Like, just look at the people who are actually living around the Pacific area. We look alike.
Yeah.
I've been mistaken for a Mexican several times,
Right.
several more than I can count, and I look Native American as well. So,
Case in point, definitely.
yeah. So I believe that we are genetically related. We
That's
all
right.
came from Lemuria. We just kind of drifted away and dispersed from Lemuria, but we still have the same genetic makeup.
Yeah. Right. Some of us still have Rh negative blood.
Yeah.
Well, the same dispersion happened with Atlantis because it didn't all fall down overnight. I mean, it was in several
No.
stages.
But
So a lot of people dispersed.
Well, and again, there you see people struggling not just for power, but to grab. What can I have at the end? Because this is going to happen. What can I take with me? I want this piece and I want that piece, and now I'm going to rule. And if you listen to me, we're going to survive this. And they did. They just didn't survive it together, and not everyone survived. Just like always happens.
Yeah, this whole subject is very interesting to find out, especially when we tie it to the records. What's in the records? If you ask me, okay, what some old guy somewhere wrote a book, or what's in the records, I'm going to take the records every single time, because that's actually what happened, not what somebody else thought happened.
Well, and it just as the planets have their cycles, everything has a cycle. Everything is cyclical. We are born, we live, we grow old, and we die. Those are cycles.
Yeah. Do you remember when everybody was having a fit over 2012? Around 2012, the world's going to end. Blah blah blah. Remember all that?
Well,
it didn't happen, and you know why?
It almost happened though.
Timelines.
But they just figured out all you had to do was reset the clock. But the Mayans have been doing that forever and ever and ever. Mayan astrology takes a year that is 252 days long or something like that. I have learned Mayan astrology and I drift away from it all the time because I don't use it all the time. But every once in a while I go back and refresh my memory on all this stuff. So it is cyclical, but it is cyclical that works with the Mayan calendar and not our Gregorian calendar.
Yeah, the thing that I understand fully is that the people of Mu and Lemuria were very spiritual, extremely spiritual, and they had some technology, but it wasn't really what they were trying to do.
Mhm.
Everything that they could do with machines, they could do with their minds. Kind of like what
The Atlantis end also with the machines and the things and all the inner circles and canals, circular canals.
yeah, it's like the Arcturians. The Arcturians, anything they can do with a machine, they can do with their minds.
Mhm.
And they can teach you this stuff. I mean, how to teleport with your mind and walk through walls and do all kinds of stuff. It's part of the training, and Diane's going, yeah, because you've been
Well,
Yeah.
you've been through the training. You know what I'm talking about.
part of their DNA.
Yeah.
Part of their ancestral history.
So if there's anyone else that has a question for the panel, we have 5 minutes left, and put it in as soon as possible, please. And I think we're going to be talking about Atlantis actually next time. when we
Yeah.
come back.
I mean, that's assuming everybody wants to do that. I mean, this subject is very, very interesting to me, especially with the records.
Next time, make sure we all get the email. I just noticed the two of you are wearing the same shirt.
Oh, well, we psychically speak to each other from across the planet. Yes.
Yeah.
Wear dark red.
Yeah. So
Wear that red.
Yeah.
and who knows, what was going on in Atlantis with their ability with technology that they brought with them, who they were descendants of, that they weren't part of why the last of Mu sunk in the first place.
Mhm.
I know for a fact that I was in Lemuria, and I also was in Atlantis. So I know for a fact. I mean, how can I can't prove it to anybody. I just know.
When they say archaeologists haven't found it, that's not true. And it starts with an A, and I can't think of it right now, but that is pretty much where they're pretty certain that is where Atlantis was.
Mhm.
It's the Azores,
Oh, okay.
up in the Azores.
That's way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Leah wants to know, can you learn your future jobs on ships from the records? And I would say yes, but that's more of a personal question that you could go on tomorrow and ask these girls. Yeah.
Yeah, they can fix you up pretty good. So I mean, did we get? I'm sorry. Did we get a lot of questions here? Or
We had 4 or 5 that came up. Yeah.
good.
Yeah, good questions too.
Yeah, there were good questions. Very
Then,
well.
I would suggest that if you have more, and if you start reading about it, you start looking, do some research.
Yeah.
What goes with you, what feels right to you, and that's what you should be doing. Because what I'm hoping people take from this is that, yeah, this is what happened, and this is whatever, you understand it, but how does it relate to you now, and how does it help you deal with what's going on now? Because right now it feels like the situation has the focus is shifted to inner earth here. The inner earth situation has brought they want to come out from underground and help us out. That's what that's what it feels like to me. Now I don't know how it's going to happen, and I know for a fact that Manchester is it's related to all this stuff with the Pleiadians. They may be the ancestors were Pleiadians that came over and moved from Atlantis before it happened. The situation happened. So I don't know exactly what that is. This is what I think. I mean, what's in the record is going to settle it, and that's perfect.
But that's something that we can explore on the next episode about Atlantis.
Yeah, that's something really interesting, and I know that it's in Unveiled Mysteries. It actually addresses that issue with the different civilizations. So it's very interesting subject.
It is. So as we close, I want to wish and hope that all of you going through the storm are safe and warm and have enough to eat and drink and so on, blankets, whatever it is you need. And I want to remind you that tomorrow, Eastern time, Diana, what is it Eastern time?
5
Your
o'clock
show.
Eastern.
5 Eastern, so that, and of course the Philippines is different because it's going to be already Saturday when Diane's
Yeah.
there. But
It's 6 a.m. Saturday here.
okay, very good.
Which
And-
channel that's going to be on?
It's probably, are you simulcasting on both
Yes,
of
we
your
will
channels?
both
Yeah.
be
Okay.
simulcasting.
Yeah.
And
give us
you
a
can ask
little
any
thumbs up.
questions. Yeah, you can ask the personal questions that you'd like from the Akashic Records Masters. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for all your comments, your questions, and
Can
for
I
spending
close
time.
really fast?
Yeah.
Since I opened publicly. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
close it.
So let us just close the way we began. 3 breaths, please. Please place us in a steady stream of divine white light, the white light of divine guidance and divine grace. Mikhail, wrap your blue bubble of protection around us that shrinks to fit as we step into the healing teal green orb of Raphael that floats and shares and spreads and transfers. The divine white light, the white light of divine guidance and divine grace. So mote it all be. Please stay safe. 25 below here in Michigan with the wind chill.
Wow.
My poor little possums, I'm praying for them.
You have to make some sweaters next time.
It's 76 where I'm at.
Get the
All right.
combs out and the spindle. And
Thank you, Diane G. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Paul.
thank
We'll see you guys
Aley.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.